Hi, this is Elliot Wave Sage. Let's go do a quick market update. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for education and entertainment purposes. So I'll go quickly through the charts. Bitcoin I have in a flat. It looks like it's a 1, 2, 3. It looks like we're in 4 with one more push lower in 5 to come. We did erase divergence here, so it is a wave 3 for now. We'll have to wait and see how this develops in the next 24 hours. So this could set us up for a target, somewhere around 59.5, 59,000. Now, if we can't find support and we accelerate lower, then of course it's a 1-2, 1-2, and if that happens, the extension on that wave will take us to the low, and then you have another extension. So I think that situation would mean this low is probably going to be breached. So if you label this as a 1-2, 1-2, more than likely this low is breached. So this is really kind of the moment for the bulls that they really need to make a stand in the crypto market right here. Ethereum uh, just missed the buy area by a few dollars, but we don't have any sign of a reversal just yet. So it's still not all clear. It's still not all clear. It looks like it needs a fifth wave down, but it has to hold 28. Link needs a fifth wave down. Bitcoin Cash, I don't recommend trading it with a connector wave right now. It should continue lower. Litecoin, I still label it as a 1 with a flat correction, but this could also be considered corrective. I don't like that, but for now we'll just kind of keep it as a flat correction with a 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, we did not erase divergence. So if I look at Litecoin here, it looks like that is in a more dangerous setup, as you can see here. So actually, it's not a wave 3. It's something like this, and should push lower. And I'm looking for something like that. Again, trying to retest this low is what I'm thinking we'll see in Litecoin, and it's running out of room. We break this low, then obviously we'll go lower, much lower. Uh, Ultimately, for Litecoin, it could come back and retest this $42 area if that low is breached. Oil, oil should, if this count works out, you have a fifth wave and then a big pump back up to 75 for a great short opportunity here. Now there's even a better short opportunity if the market wants to continue in 2 and just pump back up to 80.75. So that's another opportunity in a flat. But right here, I wouldn't short it because it can do, maybe the Iran war causes people to pile in energy. So just be careful with that. But for now, we'll just label it this way. And if we get this fifth wave, that will negate this flat. But we should retrace it and then drop. Of course, the most bearish option is a 1-2, 1-2. We just collapse tomorrow. But I think this is probably the most likely path with a potential short opportunity around 75 if we can get this. Silver, I think we'll make one more swing higher at least, and if we get lucky, we'll get 5. But I think we're going to push higher in one more swing, and then the market will decide, is it going to break down or will it extend to $35? Gold is in kind of the same situation. I believe this high will be breached on this move. Again, could become a big flat or it could get this final impulse. But once that 3 is in, it will be a big pullback. So this pullback in gold will be something to the extent we saw here. This just took over a year. So this could be a very long consolidation period while the market goes through its downturn, a deflationary downturn. That's what I'm thinking. Now, of course, the bulls hope for an extension, a parabolic extension, which is always possible, but I'm giving you more of the conservative count. Dollar index did break down. I would say it should continue lower. A lot of people do not get this right, but I think it's going to continue lower. I think ultimately we'll come down to 98. I do believe once we hit 98, a major low will be set in the dollar index, and then we will see prices, dollar index surge. The last time we did that was a major drop in the market. So that's why I would expect when the dollar index is here, we'll see another major drop. So again, this supports the 4 or 5 case, and across the market, this supports the 4, 5. And when the 5 peaks, the dollar index is bottom. That's kind of the idea. That's the thinking behind it. But we didn't really see strength in the market, even though the dollar index fell. So could we be setting ourselves up for stagflation? But underneath the hood of the market, we just don't see it yet. We did see oil fall, which was kind of counterintuitive. So I think I wouldn't correlate much with the dollar index falling just yet, because big picture, it really, yeah, it fell on the short term, but it's really just been sideways. It hasn't really been trending. So maybe that's what we're seeing on the big picture. But on the shorter time frame, it did go lower, which usually helps the market, and perhaps it just needs a little more time, and it will. Of course, the 10-year and bonds have played out exactly like we expected. We had long bond, long bond, long bond trades. It's now played out, a massive pattern breakdown. So once we get into this shaded area, the bond market could reverse at any moment into wave 3 higher. That's got to be a dollar index higher, just like it was here, and it's got to be a market meltdown scenario. But what we're actually seeing is this is risk off. So we're seeing like a deflationary impulse, and then could this be an inflationary reaction where right now this could be everything goes down, risk off, traditional energy, nowhere to hide. And then this is like back to the classical energy up, commodities up, interest rates up, and then tech down, indices down. That's probably what this trade is. So I think there'll be investment to go in long positions in different areas of the market. In this area, like I like energy, I like uranium, I like the miners, I like gold and silver, I like the commodities here. I still will not like to buy potentially tech stocks, Russell, that type of stuff that we know gets harmed with higher rates. And it's time to start thinking about this other half of the equation, right? Because now that we're seeing this chart play out, if we get once we get this interest rate turn, it should go back to that rotation back into the inflation, kind of the inflationary trade, and then I would expect the same kind of trades that worked in 2001 through the 22 correction will work here. The same kinds and the same dynamic. That's what I anticipate right now. This, I think, is everything is kind of just going down. This will be some policy response, and the market behaves in a way that they didn't intend. My guess. It's just my guess. That's all I'm thinking right now. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. The VIX did break out of its wedge, and I've given this warning sign when this happened, a big market sell-off would happen, or even a crash. We got a VIX almost up to 29.68. I wanted to see it in the 40s and 50s, and then I should pull back, and then it could go even higher, but then that could be an unwind for a different type of pattern. But I would say that looking at the VIX, myself, as long as we're out, as long as we're still in the pattern, like we haven't broke it, I would expect higher VIX until we get a better reversal. Now, on the short term, it does show that it should fall a little bit more into this area. When we hit the area last time, we went vertical. Perhaps we get this again and we just go vertical again. So I think we just got to keep an eye on the VIX in this general area. And this could be also an opportunity to time your shorts, is when the VIX is in this area, 20, 19, this area. That may be the time in a nice three-wave pullback. Okay, so indexes, like I said, you got the Dow Jones. Looks like you've got some kind of 1, 2. Well, should finish 5 and then 2. Again, this is the most likely path. There's a lot of possible paths right now, but I think the bigger picture is I'm looking at like more of a flat pattern in this 4 and then A, B, C, where we could head back down to 37,003 or even as low as 36,009. The SPY, I believe, will head to the 512, 510 area, but it wouldn't surprise me if we went all the way back down to 483 or 480 in this 4. And it may even be a crash correction 4, which we see in the market sometimes. The triple Qs, we're looking for 425, maybe 410, and then we'll either get a bounce that will take us to new highs, extending the fifth wave, or it will bounce and fail and the bear market will continue. In the IWM, I believe it seems like the X top is in, and if that's the case, we want to see a fifth wave here and then a bounce, and this could be a short opportunity for further downside. That's the way I look at that here. And I wouldn't label it this way. So I think this is the only count that seems to make sense to me. And the reversal was so severe, it just seems very likely the X is in. We go to the KRE, which is also very connected to the Russell index. We had the KRE. We wanted it to top out more. But if we look at a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, now 5. It would have been nice to have it push higher. I could have put the 3 there and the 4 there. I was looking for more upside, but that's too severe now. So it looks like to me the KRE is finished its connector with a big move down, which is typical, which means X is in. And if that's the case, the KRE will now take its journey down to the $20 area. And this is the type of price action I would expect to see, just sudden reversal and a sharp move lower, and then some consolidation and another move, and then just grind lower. So I think as long as you're below 59.62 on the KRE and the Russell is below 228.83, I think it's the right way to trade the small caps will be to short rallies until those levels are breached, and that's how I would look at that. So if small caps are that's why I would not recommend buying any small cap stocks, and we did see a lot of those break down with a very few exceptions. Okay, we have seen the TQQ obviously is more downside. This could be also a timing vehicle for the NASDAQ. Again, looks like a nice, beautiful 5-wave move up. We come back to 39.5, and could we actually come back up and take out these highs and really push? So that is the extension in 5 scenario in the market. That is still a possibility, but when you look at how we bottomed here, right now we have 5 and AB and a C for 5, a triangle, but you never really got that capitulation again at the bottom. So it wouldn't surprise me that if this is not a good bottom, and I have to relabel it as an ABC with a W here, and an ABC as a massive connector, where we come all the way back down to $10 in the single digits on the TQQ. I'll give you the exact target. We could see 994, and that could end the grand super cycle correction in technology when that hits that level. So that's how serious the situation may be in technology, but hey, you know, there probably is a really good dip buy right here. You got this trend line. You're between the 4 and the 2. I do think this will definitely bounce, but the question is, will it result in a catastrophic failure? So you need to, if you're going to try to play for this, you're going to need to stop out or take some profit at least. But I definitely like to trade this bounce here but I want to get some confirmation of a reversal. I don't want to just catch a fallen knife. So I want to see a little bit of a reversal sign that we could trade against as this plays out more. Hang Seng should go lower. I do like to play YINN when we get into this area. This is also showing the dollar weakness, because this would be dollar weakness, and that's what we're forecasting. So that's pretty good if that happens. Of course, China has to stay above 14,808 or it's game over. So I'm looking for more downside, and then we'll see if we can get this reversal. And why? Could China unleash some stimulus that gets people excited? Could this be Trump comes in the office and goes crazy with tariffs, and then China just melts down? You know, where the correction ends. You know, finally down here. Everyone's watching the Nikkei index. I'm not ready to call the top in the Nikkei yet. It still, to me, looks like more downside. So let's just take a deeper look at this. So it's a flat correction. So right away you have a 1, you have a 2, but obviously you're missing the 3, 4, 5. So it's obviously going to go lower than what I have here, but this needs to play out. Now the problem I've got is if it's too intense, then you have to call the top in a Nikkei and a major top. So let's look at this trend line. I would say a breach of that trend line would be the first sign that the 4 is not a 4, and we topped here, even though I don't like this count. And if that's the case, the world markets probably have also peaked for sure. But I am looking for one more push higher, just one more, and then a major top in the Nikkei. And Nikkei is very bearish. We do know massive yen strength is in the horizon for the years to come. And we also know that this bottom is not a good bottom based on my system. Usually it fails. They just decided to extend this all the way up in a flat of the ages, an epic flat correction that should play out to the downside over many, many years. Think of Intel, like it's just going to take a long time to play out. It doesn't seem to me that we're going to get, my system won't allow for me to continue to say this is going to be Moon Boy and it's just going to keep going to the moon. So I do believe this will end, and I'm not ready to call the top in it yet. The monthly cycle has not broken down. That's another clue. We break that line, then the top is in. Nikkei is going into a bear market, which means the world markets more than likely are going into a bear market. Probably all the indices, but maybe not all. We'll have to check each one, but here it is. So that's it. That's what I'm looking at. So again, there are signs that there is a fifth wave out there across the markets, but there's also signs that this 4 wave could go pretty deep as well before you get that 5th wave. So this correction may not be a run-in-the-mill, buy the dip, it's over. I think investors learned that Friday because they were hoping it would just do what it normally does. Daily cycle's over, it's going to the moon. Oh no, it's now a weekly cycle. Well, what if it's a monthly cycle? See, that's the thing. We saw the breakdown, right? We got out of the market, guys, on Friday when we broke down right here. Where's Friday? Right around here. Okay, So we saw the signs a lot earlier, right? When the market doesn't behave like you expect it, you always stop out and get out and reassess. So we had the dip buy right here. This was still moonboy. This was still like we're in the advance. So you should buy. This was a good area to buy. We never top tick the market. We never top tick the market. We let the market tell you when it's over. So every time we had to buy, every time we always support it. We didn't get it, and the intensity was nasty. Just cut through this like butter. Stopped out. Whoa, what happened? Then you check the rest of the stocks, they did the same thing, and then you saw Nvidia cycle break the weekly, and you knew it was a bigger deal. And then AMD, of course. So that was the clue. Did we not get out at the exact top? No, you never do. But we didn't top tick it, because if we kept trying to top tick the market, you would have missed maybe this leg, that leg. And a lot of people did this year. A lot of people tried to top tick it here, but we didn't do any of that. We just kind of hung in there. We've been, I gave the long call here back in end of December, and now we finally got out on Friday, July 19th. So we rode the market all the way up to July 19th, and now we're out. And now we've saved a lot of our capital. A lot of our profits have been put in our bank accounts. And now we got to wait this storm out, or we can try to short it if we get a good setup. And there could be some good setups if they want to ramp this on Monday and early next week. Like a lot of people are saying on TV, on the internet. And because everyone's saying that on the internet has me worried it actually won't happen. But if we do get something like this, we want to short into that when we get a better view of what it looks like. That's what I would be wanting to do. That's the trade idea. I don't want to just short it here, because then you could be squeezed on that, and then you could be too much pain and give it up your position. It's better to just let it play out. You could try it at 455, ideally 456 in this area, and then stop out. And then if it's a bigger connector, then you have to understand that too. But I think for now we'll go with discount, because to get a bigger connector, you have to overcome the grief that was associated with losing this pump. I'm telling you, so much technical damage was done when this market collapsed on Friday to reverse this euphoria pump, and to have to generate the same amount of euphoria with all this bad news out there on Monday and Tuesday. This doesn't seem likely, unless the Fed does emergency rate cuts. That would do it. I think that would generate a massive pump, even though that's panic, and that's why the pump will fail. But hey, market participants will go crazy over that. But if they don't, outside of that, I don't really know what else could generate the enthusiasm to get the connector up again. So let's go through some technology stocks real quick. Apple. So Apple, I believe it's still got another swing lower down to 202, down to this area here for a 3-swing move. Again, looking for wave 2. This is a very bullish chart if this plays out. Now, if we break through, I would say if we break through 185, then something much more sinister has happened with Apple, because again, we would have something like 3. It could be a big flat, and we're just going to come all the way back down to retest this low at 124, because you don't have 5 swings, right? So this is either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back down and out, or it's a 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, I could force a wave 3 label in, but if you look here, you see the peak RSI. It's probably not a wave 3. So I wouldn't put this as like wave 3. I would still 1. So 2 could still come back down. But I also, in the back of my mind, also see 3. So you guys are going to have to decide how you want to trade Apple. But as long as I think you're above this like 185 level, or 180, yeah, 186, 185, I think it's okay, and it can actually find support right around 202, 204, this area here. Amazon, so Amazon's in a really interesting case. It should technically bounce here. You have the trend line support. You're at the 4. You have a flat correction. That's how I look at this. Now, if that's the case, we actually don't really see the wave count that I'd like to see. So we probably need one more low. And of course, if this isn't gonna find support, the count would actually turn into something like this, and like this, and just collapse. So that's why I would have a stop at 155.7, but I really don't like buying it with the market so weak. And again, there's a lot of room to correct that, Amazon and still be bullish. And I do think the future is bullish. I do think Amazon will be up in these areas in the future, but the path to get there could be very painful. Okay, very painful path. It could easily even do this, like that later. So just so you know, okay. Google is where wave 4 should find support. If it can't find support here, this is a connector for this whole move. It'll drop down to 140s. It's more than likely that's not a wave 4, so we have to be thinking a flat correction in 3 for Google. So you really need this. It's very important. If not, that would be a flat correction, and we would have only 3 up, and that would imply it could come back down to retest these lows at some point in the future. Facebook should see one more push lower like Amazon. This would be a good area for wave 2 to find support again. Here's your 4, right around 382. But I can't, there's no guarantee that you could get something like this later. There's always that possibility, okay? So just keep that in mind. Netflix, I am looking for a bounce and failure since we did not get to the wave 4 target. So I do think we should bounce. Now, what would surprise me is if the bounce has already happened here and it just goes straight down. But that's possible. I just don't think it's likely. I think it's going to bounce here. Tesla should head lower down to this area. Again, looking at 3 down, a connector wave. Obviously, you corrected the cycle here with that pump here. And so now we go lower. And why? But it should be done. It should be in 3 waves like we always expect. Something like that. For a bigger bounce, that more than likely will fail, and then you may get the final low, a new low with a retest of this lower trend area, something like that. AMD looks like, unfortunately, you already broke this too. We didn't quite get up to the ideal area to short it, but it got pretty close, and then it broke down, and it looks like it's also, it could be in some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, and then you get another move up to like 140, and then a big meltdown. So that's possible. The other possibility is that it's in a bigger flat, and 2 does surprise the market. This is the face ripper next week scenario where you do this and up, and this would be an amazing short opportunity if that could happen. But I don't like playing the long side at all. I just kind of want to sit on the sidelines and see if a setup comes. Down here is where it could find a bottom or a significant bounce. Then Microsoft, did look like it formed a shallow connector. Now again, it could still be an ABC, come back up to 437 and then drop. I'll just show you the worst case, the 370, 357, right around the wave 4 area, right around here. So we'll see if that plays out or not. Nvidia, we did hit our short opportunity and nailed that, and now it's rejected. I do believe it's coming back down to in the low 80s or even lower. And again, you see how I had nice 3 waves. I'll be looking for nice 3 waves down. SMCI is another one that broke this low. So again, it looks like to me you have 3 connector 3, so W. And then 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, and then you have 3, and then a connector. So this looks like we did not get that 5th wave here, and we're coming down. 1, 2, 3. So like you have 1, 2, 3 down. There's your B wave. Down. And then this should be a 1, 2. And again, maybe it's a 3, 4, 5. Could be another 1, 2, so we won't label it. Currently in a weekly cycle correction, even a monthly cycle. So because you're in a monthly cycle correction, the bounce here could easily fail. So when this finishes, the bounce, again, you can't fall in love with these stocks in a bear market. This stock is in a bear market. It could easily come up, come back to 740 and go even lower as the monthly cycle correction. But there could be a trade here at like 465, 455, back up to 739, and then you could try to dump it. Called the wave 5 in trade desk. Top, I believe it's easily heading to 5420, but there is a chance that this is some kind of big connector, and you could have a catastrophic meltdown back down to this $20 area in the grand super cycle. I don't like trading this, but you know, everyone's got to decide what you want to do here. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. All right. Then again, just kind of scanning things. DraftKings, looking for a potential 1, 2, 3 connector. Now that could be 3. We could bounce at 29, 26, but I think again we're missing that bigger. So I think it could go deeper and then come down to like the low 20s, but somewhere around here we're hoping for a reversal out. Or bounce and failure. TJT looks like it did have a reversal on Friday. So off of 25.97, it could keep pushing higher now. GMB looks like it still needs more downside. And if the Russell is in meltdown mode, GMB will not have the wind at its back anymore, so it'll have to trade on its own merits. So I could easily put C down here. If it's not, that becomes a 1, 2, and that's why it goes a lot deeper. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out in GME. The TAN, we may actually start to see this break down like we want it, down to the low 20s finally. If oil's melting down, no one wants to buy the green stocks typically. RK is another bearish stock. that if you look at it here, we only formed a connector wave. We never got the fifth push up. It failed. Obviously, this is very bearish. It also may show you the Russell may have peaked as well if that has happened. The next area, though, it could bounce is right here. But that bounce could easily fail, and I almost expect it to, as it moves and meanders around in 3 swings for here on out. And then, of course, it could bounce again. Again, ABC here, ABC, and then down, lower. Okay, let's go to discretionary. Lululemon, melting down like we expected. Should go lower. No reason to buy this. How's Nike doing? Looking for this bounce in B. Technically, it should reverse a little bit and get a bigger, maybe it's an Olympic boost with their earnings coming up. I don't know. But it should fail, I think. Wingstop, we did call the top in 5, and we are breaking down the new target. I think it's at 312 for W. I believe that bounce will fail, and then maybe you can find the low after that. Okay. Caravana here also hit our short area exactly, got massive rejection. Could be pulling back to finish this 4, down to 113 before we get this 5th wave. Something like that. Again, then let's see, consumer staples. People have asked about Celsius. Again, I've given a warning about this. It's just going to continue until this is finished. Pepsi's an interesting one because it's trying to push higher as people panic into staples. But the question is it going to fall oh so short and collapse? Now, we see so many stocks that do that. We'll find out if it can push higher, and then we'll need to update the charts on Pepsi. All right, and then the cryptos, of course. CLSK finally broke down, but I believe it's got more downside to come. Looks like there's your connector. So you have 1, 2, 3 connector. You have 1. You still need 2 and 3. So until I see a bounce and failure, I don't want to touch it. Coinbase should be heading down here where I've got it. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only have 1, 2. You still need 3, 4, 5. Some healthcare stocks. Abbott Labs I was looking at the other day. Looks like this is finished. 1, 2. Looks like it's heading back down to the $60 area. Let's see here. Aluminum's trying to push out in this wave 3. If we break this low, it will be a connector and you'll have a big meltdown. Lilly should be pushing down to like 643, and then we'll either get a bounce and failure, or the low, I think it will bounce and fail. mRNA, like I mentioned before, this was just, it didn't get the 5th wave like we wanted, so it became a connector. We had to flip bearish, and that's the right call. It's going to make a massive journey down. Unfortunately, it did not work out here for the bulls, but it was a tradable bounce area. It was just every time in a corrective wave, usually you get 3, but there's never a guarantee for 5, and you didn't get to 5, so it's now in meltdown mode. Viking, watch the double correction. If we break this low, we'll get the double correction down to back pretty much a full round trip. Commodity stocks, guys. Chevron has been a battleground for short sellers, and we've pretty much nailed this here. here, here, here. I mean, we've nailed this, so it's now I think the short trade has been playing off, and now we'll be getting paid on that short, those shorts if you took them. Boom, and then a good opportunity for long position for the future wave 3. XLE is kind of in the same situation, looking for the 60s. XOM looking for the 80s. Then see if there's any others. Oxy looking for the 40s. SCO could be a trade opportunity for short in oil. So we get this pullback in 2. We could buy that here to try to play up to 2150 or higher, somewhere in this area. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. If we get another bigger flat, it'll be a great opportunity, but this looks like 5 off the low. So it's more than likely going to do something like this and pull back and then come out. Bohr, been waiting for this to break down for a while. I think we're finally getting down and starting to break down to where I want to get it. SLB, same thing. We getting close probably. I would like to time SLB with the OIH bottom here. I think I like SLB and OIH more than the other energies plays that I mentioned earlier. How's Chesapeake doing? Chesapeake is finally making his journey down to $55. Let's go to BTU real quick. Let me find BTU. There's BTU. Again, looking for 20, but if it's a higher degree correction, could have catastrophe meltdown. So got to have a stop loss here if you're going to try to play that. The U's broke down, broke the connector, so it's going to go lower. I believe we broke this low, so this is just a big connector. So the chart, the bullish setup is now negated. So we have to, we're still in this wave 2, larger degree. Whoops. So because of that, now we have to look at it this way. W, X, Y, and let's see here, 3W, so there's your first W. Now we need Y. So let's find some targets. 246 could be a target right in there. Let's find another target. Could even be 363 if the divergence is erased. So somewhere in that area, we're looking for a low. So it's a pretty big area to buy it. But as you can see, this may be just the first leg in Y here. Bounce, bigger bounce, and then a failure later. URA mentioned it's going deeper into the buy area. I warned people, you gotta be careful, especially if this bearish we're seeing right now. If we erase divergence, this will become a 1-2, and then of course it's just going to extend lower down into maybe the $20 area. Cleveland Cliffs, we've had this buy target down here for a while. We want it at $9, $8, or ideally $6, and it looks like we're starting our journey down. So as you can see, guys, we had these buy areas for months. If you follow my channel, what's happening right now isn't a surprise to us. This was actually planned and expected and anticipated. Right? These charts have existed for months on my channel. People have asked me about this for months. They wouldn't have been trapped in these FOMO situations. But what's going to happen is when we're down in these areas I have highlighted, no one's going to want to buy it anymore. And what we need to do is, buy a little bit, or we wait for a reaction and then buy against that low. but I believe you know, if you really look at the corrective structure, like on a Cleveland Cliffs, look how long it's been correcting. It's due for either a big relief rally, multi-month, or the low. So it is. These are good plays in these areas in this sector, commodity sector. So that's why I think in the big picture, commodities will be going higher. Whatever they're going to do, the policy response is going to cause another inflationary impulse, and that's going to cause the rates to reverse and go higher again. That's why I'm just seeing that's what's going to happen. So I believe when the rates find the bottom wherever this two ends, and it could even, I mean, it could even go lower, right? But when it ends, more than likely that's when the energy sector hits its wave three, the commodity sector hits its wave three, and the uranium's in wave that those stocks now. And I think technology has a massive meltdown, and the Russell and so on, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Uh, that's what this is telling me in this part of the journey. In this part, I think it's just deflationary, classic risks off, very few places to hide that are working. Maybe gold because the dollar index has fallen a little bit could work, but right now that's kind of where we are in the cycle. That's what I'm seeing emerge. The Japanese yen, by the way, everyone's like a yen expert. Should push lower, but as you can see, it looks like it's finishing a bit this move down, and then we should see some yen weakness return. We have a nice three-wave drop. It'll be interesting if we get a 4 and a 5 for an impulse to confirm the top is in, or is it just a connector? We'll get a big three-wave move and try to come back up here. We don't know, but I do think this is when we're here, this whatever yen weakness people are worried about will have. I mean, yen strength should subside for a while, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens after that. Now, we could always negate this view if we penetrate below like 140, and then it's just a free fall collapse, and then obviously this is in, and so 1-2 is just going to go all the way back down to like 120 before we find any support. But I do believe on the higher time frame, guys, the yen, it'd be just a clear chart to me. 1, 2, 3, W, up. Okay, so then you have your connector here, and then you have 1, 2, 3 connector. So 1, 2, 3 for Y. That's how I look at that. And then I have 1, 2, 3 in flat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it hit the short area pretty much exactly as I expected. So that's how I look at it right now. Let's look at a couple other things here. Let's look at a couple other things. So yeah, as you can see here, this would trick a lot of Elliott wave folks, because you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but then you have that big bounce. So to me, that's a connector, and then you come down 4, and then you see I have this massive divergence here. That's the first sign this bounce is going to fail, and then you even have bigger divergence between that low and that low here. So it's just set up. It's just set up to keep dropping, because we never really got that capitulation. So that's kind of how I look at this chart. That's kind of how I look at it right now. We could even put, if I wanted to, I could put the W here, and maybe put like, did something like that. But I think for now, I'll just leave it like this, where you have 3, this is your connector, and then down. So it's something like this. And then something like this. That's kind of how I look at it. That's kind of how I look at it right now. Just kind of looking at the yen. Yeah, you see how you bounced here? You see that? And you broke. So That's why I wouldn't label this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But a lot of Elliott wave people would. So that's why it's got to be really tricky. The RSIs can be really tricky. Visually you could be tricked. So you always got to kind of just take a step back and kind of assess things. You know what I mean? You just got to kind of assess everything. So we'll just leave it at that for now. Then the yen should be pulling back. We had this I guess not a sell area, a buy area of the yen in this colored area, and we had the ultimate, like this is like, you know, super you know, good buy. We almost hit that, and that's where we reversed. So that's in a massive reversal. So I think if you're trying to bet on yen weakness here, it could easily bounce, but don't be surprised if we just cut through this like butter if this X is in, because it has a long way to unravel. It has a long way to go down. It's got a long way to go. I think, you know, classically, you know, do something like this is what I would expect to see. So the first push down would probably come to 120, and then things would stabilize for a while. Again, I'm not correlating the yen to my trading system, but some people are, and if you were curious, that's kind of what I'm looking at the yen. That's kind of what I see about the yen right now. All right, looks like Bitcoin is trying to push down in this 5. And again, guys, if Bitcoin is a 1, 2, 1, 2, it looks like we'll run out of room, or we'll just come out. So, but then if we do that, then more than likely ETH is going to break this level, and then that will pull the market down. So it's just going to cause a domino effect. So really, it's got to stay. You got to find support here on this 5th wave, do or die here. I think coming up, and so you got to watch this momentum. It doesn't look good. It just doesn't. It bounced too soon. People are too bullish. They're too eager to buy the dip, and they're trapping it, setting us up for the capitulation. If they would have let it capitulate, we could have done it. But again, there's just too many people hopeful, I guess, trying to buy the dip, and that's counterintuitive to finding the low. You know, it's counter to trying to find the low, and so it's just it's just setting you up for a bigger push lower. It just seems like that right now, but I wouldn't trade on that. I would just see if we can get this 5th wave and then come out and see if you can come out of it. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. All right, guys, that's my video, and I'll try to do a live stream later tonight. Thanks.